with what I call divine ordinations. Ordinations. Nobody walking on the earth is a mistake. We are part of an agenda that is older than time. Now, if you understand the powers of ordination, you will instantly become invincible. The key to invincibility is tied to ordinations. Because when God fashioned you and threw you into this specimen called time, you didn't come to satisfy your own purpose. You came to satisfy his own purpose. I know you are trying to be careful. I know you are trying to succeed. But you see, your success matters more to God than it matters to you. Because for you now, if you succeed, it may probably be about eating, wearing a good clothes, having some form of security like house, and living a good life. But you see, as far as God is concerned, your success is part of a program that began from eternity past into eternity future. This ministry I'm doing now, I can be praying in the night and say, Lord, cause this ministry to prosper. Cause this ministry to prosper. Oh, Father, help me not to make mistakes. And God is looking at me. You think it's your ministry? What you are doing here, Apostle Paul started it many years ago, and you are just holding a baton with other people for your generation. When you are done, some people will carry it over. It's like a relay race. I am the one who, this is my ministry, it's not your own. You are a steward. And so I'm the one helping you to fulfill it. You are not the one begging me to help you. That is called the power of ordination. If you are awakened to the power of ordination, you will discover that that business you are doing is God's agenda of doing something in the economic space. Because God knows that spirits are fighting to dominate that realm. So you are God's ambassador to that realm. And because you are God's ambassador, even the things you don't know you need, God will provide it. That's what ordinations does. In Jeremiah chapter 1 from verse 5, he began to educate the prophet. And he told him some things that were strange. Some things that he had not read. Because when they taught them about the priesthood, they didn't teach them about the things that were before time began. And so when God appeared to him from Jeremiah, he said, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. Before thou camest forth out of the womb, he said, I sanctified you and I ordained you to be a prophet unto the nations. So the reason he's going to the nations is not because he's going to have some form of security and good life. He was actually designed to enter the nations before he was formed. And when God went further, God began to show him the reason why he designed him to be a prophet. He said he was going to uproot, he was going to plant. So when God sent such a man to a nation, anything God did not plant, the man will uproot it. He will now assume it's because he has some revelation. Meanwhile, he doesn't know when he takes his hand to uproot, there's an invincible finger that supports his hand. So God is uprooting through him because it's God working but hid in his vessel. If that man doesn't understand it, he will be trying to be careful. But you see, there is a power beyond him that is manipulating even his steps. There are some of you here that are sent to the nations. You are lobbying with somebody, begging somebody to help you, talk to somebody to enter the nation. You don't know that God is already on the edge, pushing you into the nations because there is an assignment that you have to do for him in the nations now. And if you don't do that assignment, there will be a vacuum in divine calendar. And so beyond your connection, beyond your pleas, there will be a force that will open doors that you are not aware of. And when it happens, you may call it coincidence, but those who are wise knows that it is ordinations that are at work. The reason why out of 1,000 people you are the one that they will choose is not because you are fair. It's because ordination insisted that you must be nominated. Because if you don't get there, an agenda will be truncated. Jesus was speaking to them in John 15:16. He said, you have not chosen me. You thought you accepted Christ. You thought you chose Christ. And Jesus is looking at you and laughing. He said, you didn't choose me. He said, I chose you. And I chose you and I ordained you to go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should abide. So everything you are doing, you were actually manipulated from a superior realm. The reason God allows you to put your own effort is so that you can be processed. The whole idea behind our participation is for transformation, so that we can come into the experience of participation, not necessarily because we were the one who fashioned it. Imagine the life of Saul, for example. He was going about killing people, burning churches, destroying churches. Meanwhile, what was written before time began is that he's going to be one of the captains of church growth and church planting. And he was here laboring. He didn't pray, he didn't fast, he didn't do anything. In fact, he was on the pathway of rebellion. And suddenly, the Jesus that many of us have been praying for and fasting for the past 4 months to see appear to a rebel. It's called ordination. So Paul does not need to pray to have an encounter with Jesus. You may need to pray for 7 months for Jesus to appear to you in glory. But you see, for Paul's kind of ordination, whether he likes it or not, Jesus will appear to him. So he doesn't need prayer for encounter. Ordination will sponsor his encounter. And when Jesus came to him, it was known that this thing is part of his calling. Even Ananias was angry. Is he not the man who is destroying the churches? Why will you go and don't you see the disciples who are in the cave praying to have encounters with you? Their own ordination is not to see Jesus. Their own ordination is to intercede for God's agenda to keep moving. Paul's ordination is to see Jesus because of the apostolic mandate. He had to be sent. And so whether he likes it or not, he must see Jesus. And God had to force Ananias to go to him. He said, go. I have chosen him to be a vessel unto me. He didn't choose it. He didn't desire it. A power beyond him necessitated it. And when Paul later began to write, because of what happened to him in Romans chapter 8 verse 30, he now told us about predestination. Because now he has seen that the things happening in his life, he doesn't qualify for them. He has seen that the things happening in his life, he was not wise to have sponsored them or chosen them. So he said, him that he predestinated, he also called. Him that he called, he justified. And him that he justified, he glorified. And so when you find a man operating, now the highest level of existence is the level of glorification. And Paul was revealing to us here that the reason you attain this level is not because you did anything. It's because you were ordained for it. And he said you were ordained for it even before you were created. He predestinated you to be glorified. And so when you understand the powers of ordination, you will begin to harness these possibilities and your life will become glorious.